your options are to comply and give up your ID, or to leave the platform.
So a couple of you asked me to explain why your Pinterest is forcing your account to be private and requiring you to turn in your identification to prove that you are over 13 years of age before allowing your Pinterest account to be public. And so because my name is JJ Gatt, this is a content creator attorney, I help fellow creators decode the laws related to the creator economy and social media. I'm the perfect one for you to explain this, is because there is an actual legal reasons why Pinterest is doing this and changed its policy and has this requirement. And it starts with the fact that, if you don't know, all social media platforms have a minimum age to open up an account. So you may know of, or you may yourself be under 13, or you may know of other people who have children's accounts, and you may know of very popular children's accounts. The things with a lot of those popular children's accounts, they may include kids in them, but they were opened by their parents and run by their parents. The platforms themselves have the policy and requirement to have the minimum age to be 13. There's a legal reason for that as well. Back in the, I think, early 2000s, in the United States anyway, and most social media platforms are American companies, passed a law that said if you are collecting information or data on children who are under 13 years of age without the parents' permission, you have to, it's a lot of stuff they have to do. It's a lot of stuff, it's requirements, things they have to do to get permission, and it's just too much. So what the platforms decided when that law was passed is, you know what, rather than have to deal with that, we'll just make the minimum age for using our platforms be 13. So that is why you cannot open up an account unless you're 13. And they don't really have any requirements to make them prove that they are over 13. People could just click a box and say, yes, I'm over 13. And that is what platforms have allowed to be like, okay, well, you self-certify that you're over 13, go at it. So what happened was UK.
So I realized after filming this video to answer this question that I actually already did a video explaining it. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a snippet from that video in here explaining what happened. The online safety bill was introduced last November. It was a direct reaction to a 14-year-old girl named Molly Russell who took her own life because she was seeing a lot of self-harm content on Instagram and Pinterest. And the legislator who introduced that bill and got a few of her other colleagues on board, and they actually passed it in one part of the UK legislative house body. They convinced them to say, well, we're going to hold the social media platforms liable for, one, making sure that when they say only 13-year-olds, if they say there's an age restriction, that they hold to it. Now, this wouldn't impact this girl. She was 14. However, she could have been on those platforms before she was 14 and subjected to those self-harming content, which, as you all know, the way the algorithms work, like when you like something, when you engage with the current content, when you comment, when you watch certain content, they send you more of that. So essentially, the algorithms essentially want to keep you on the platform. So they send you the type of content you're going to watch already. And if that's harmful content, if it's the type of content that will radicalize people, we know there's legislation right now ongoing against some social media platforms regarding children who have been radicalized because the social media platforms algorithms make it easy for people to get harmful content, destructive content to them all the time. So that's what happened in this case. And when the end result was that this law, which is making its way to final this month, I think it's either going to be law or not. But in advance of this law becoming final, the platforms have to actually prepare. Why they're preparing for it? Because what's at stake. According to this law, if you do not adequately, based on the legislatures, protect your platform for being accessed by people who are under the age, so in this case 13, and if you continue to not actively remove that content, not wait for it to be reported, then you are subject to potentially 10% of your revenue. Now, for example, Meta, which is makes up right now of Instagram and Facebook and a few other apps, that 10% of their revenue would be $12.3 billion, because you best believe that these platforms are not interested in losing $12.3 billion. And so for that reason, they are actively trying to remove people who are not 13. And so that means if you are under 13, they need your proof. And I know some people are saying, like, that's a government ID. Why do you want me to submit? I don't trust social media platforms. Why should I submit my government ID to you? You can't and that's what they've been before this law. You could just say, yeah, I'm over 13, and they were like, okay. And this law says that's not enough because you have these young kids on there, impressionable young kids who are losing their lives essentially by the being subjected to this content that's on the social media, and they're not ready. Their brains aren't ready. They're not mature enough. And even though their parents are letting them, then their parents shouldn't. We all know that even though our parents say you can't get on the app, we're going to find a burner phone. We're going to find some other way to access it. We're going to use our friend's phone. We're going to work around it. So even to blame the parents or put it on the parents is not enough. So they say the only people we actually can stop is these apps. So that's where it is. That's why you're getting these requests. If you are under 13, you're not supposed to be on these apps, so you no longer could be on Pinterest. Now, here's what your options are. Your options are to just either give them your ID and just keep your app, or not give them to them and be removed from the app. Those really are your only options.
Okay, I hope that helped explain and clear things up a little bit. Okay, back to the original
That's
video.
why when this case went down, this law was passed, a lot of social media platforms, including Instagram. If you're on Instagram, you might have noticed they also started automatically shutting down your account and requiring you to confirm various different ways that you're over 13. So Pinterest took that approach as well. They said, you know what, if you appear to be under 13, if you look to be under 13, if the content that you're liking and sharing, if your comments make it appear that you are under 13, we're just going to automatically shut you down, private your board, so you're no longer public. You can have your account, but you won't have a public profile until you can prove that you are over 13 and turn in your ID to prove that, because they don't want to be fined a lot of money. And they're, so of course you can send in a fake ID or do whatever, but they're going to have your data and they're going to confirm you're over 13. So that's what happened. And it was really just a prophylactic, reaction to a lawsuit, reaction to potential being fined and being sued. But irrespective of all that, because of that law in UK, more states, the United States, have passed similar sort of laws, and there's several different lawsuits percolating. And you may even have heard a radio ad asking parents, if their children are addicted to social media, to call this number to join some lawsuit, a class action lawsuit going after them. I did a video on that saying that, social media platforms are, they're coming for them. The ambulance chasers are coming for social media platforms, because essentially if they get enough parents to go in on a lawsuit, they, front the cost of this. They may get the social media platforms to pay a lot of money. They give all the parents like $1 or $2. And then the in terms of the money, the lawyers are going to take most of the money, disperse, the rest of the settlement or whatever amongst the thousands and thousands in the class, and they end up being $5-10 per parent, while the lawyers take all the money. So that's just, so yeah, I'm cynic regarding class action lawsuits. But so that's what we have. We have a sort of like a momentum or a push to finally make social media platforms and their algorithms pay and responsible for their addictive nature. And so that's where we're going on. That's the wave that we're going on. And different platforms are taking different measures to protect themselves. And that's how Pinterest has chosen to not protect itself, because that kind of sounds like they don't want to do it. I'm assuming, and they have a good faith want to make sure that kids aren't harming themselves from being caught into the algorithms. So that is Pinterest doing its best to abide by the ruling, the lawsuits, all the stuff that's going on. And it's going to continue to go on, and it's only going to get harder for you to have that. Now, if you watch the channel, I did a video about how Florida, Texas, and several other states. I just did a part 1. I'm going to do a part 2. So that's what you need to do. Stay tuned. Subscribe to this channel. I'm going to do a part 2. It's going to give you a total roundup of all the states that have passed laws regarding children and social media. So if you're in one of those states, or even if you're not one of those states, just know this is coming down the pike. This is just a wave of future. So anyway, so that's the answer. That was a 10-minute video. I didn't want to be this long. However, share this video with anyone who asks, like, what the hell, why I have to turn in an ID? Now you know, and that's what's going on. And I also gave you the full history of why social media platforms are changing, making this drastic policy shift in terms of requiring identification and proof of age from users. That's it. All right. And again, watch other videos I have on this channel. Subscribe, share this video. Watch other videos I have on this channel related to the laws involving social media and creator economy in this playlist here.